Hi guys, I'm back. Okay, I just carrying on where we left off. I did go and find some vintage ephemera printed on fabric. This is the Tim Holtz labels, and I think this will be really nice worked into it. This will help tie in any papers we use from Roxy Creations, because there's always vintage ephemera printed within that artwork. So I think it'll be nice to have something along these lines on this piece. Actually, I didn't grab the doilies like I said I was going to. Hold that thought, it won't be a second. Sorry about that, guys. I've got a box of doily bits. It's just somewhere I keep all my little bits and pieces from doilies. So I do want to go through that as well. So let's just get it out of the way for now. And I just want to fiddle with this a little bit more and start getting some pins down. So I'm just going to come past my drawn line of fraction. Just make sure I've come to the boundaries of everywhere. I like how this has got an art reference in it. That's a bit cool. I think I could cut that down. And maybe put that there. Does that cover? Do I need to? Probably not. If that comes across, it tucks in there, and maybe that over there, that over there. Yeah, I like that. That looks good. Looks like those flowers are coming out behind it all. I'll leave it at that. I think I need to rummage for some doily embroidered pieces too first. I've got a second one of those. Let's see if we've got something that sort of matches. That'd be pretty. Maybe we can pop that in somewhere. Oh, I do like that too. Oh. No, it doesn't really match the colours. I should have that Stamperia paper nearby too, because it's very easy to go off on a tangent without your inspiration nearby. It's a case of, I think I like that. And I like the fact that we've got a scalloped edge. I might cut along that fold. Let's see if we can find a little corner for that to pop in. What else is in this box of tricks? I have this little piece of ribbon, random. Sort of don't mind that too. I'm not 100% sold. These are all very pink. Little butterfly. Maybe that could find a home. Very pink roses. Okay, here's something. Sorry, I've gone quiet, guys. Whether these are too bright, they might be two primary colours. Let's just move that. Yeah, it's sort of, but not quite. Like, does it really matter? Probably not. There's some little ones there, maybe. Yeah. I like the fact that it's on a very creamy background. They would be cute, but I'm going to leave a couple out. And this has actually got a bit of history. This piece of embroidery was a large tablecloth that Edie's grandmother found at an op shop. And she thought it might be something I could use. So she gave it to me, and I've just cut all the embroidery out of it just to sort of have it ready to go. So it would be rather cute to work a little bit of that in somewhere. I sort of like those as well. Is the lemon too safe? Let's have a quick look in here. Is the lemon like, we could definitely get away with that? Yeah, okay. It's just about making the cover sort of feel, I think that one's out. The butterfly we'll leave out for now. Or do we stitch it in? Sorry guys, I've gone quiet again. I think that's out. I think I want to keep it more primitive. Does that make sense? I'm going to cut this one down to be actually more square and less of the fabric. That might help me. I need my fabric scissors, which really aren't fabric scissors anymore because they've got a dull spot already in them. Just a little snippet of embroidery. So that will appear on the back of the cover. I sort of feel like I want a piece on the front as well, just to make it feel like it all comes together. It won't hurt to have a few primary colours sort of popping in this. It'll give us more wriggle room later. Once we drift a little bit of lace through this as well. Yeah, I like that. It's very eclectic. which is good for a 9-year-old at the end of the day. I think the butterfly is not required. I think we can put that away. I sort of feel like we're drifting away from that. So I'm going to use these elements. I think they're really young and fresh. So I'm liking the way that that's coming together. So they will appear throughout the journal, and at the end of the day, I have heaps of them. So we can really play with them. Might put that piece of advertising there up the top. All right, so we're on our way again. Let's have a little look for some more fabric. That's like got a rayon-y feel to it. It's come from a $2 shop and it's just doesn't feel nice, and it frays really, really easily. So I'm not going to use that. I think we can do better than that. Let's stick with the cottons. So we need something floral again, I think. What other pieces do we have? Something bright and colourful. Here we go. Clashy, colourful. Oh, goodness, if I lay this... I'm going to move that over a bit. Just not quite happy with this corner. Maybe that's got to go more like that. Oh, you could fiddle with this for hours. Goodness. You know, that's what makes it so much fun. We could do some X's in there, some X's in there, and then an activity inside the journal with X's. I want to pop in this fabric. Sorry guys, you can't see what I'm doing, but I've got the fabric lying on my lap because it's just so big. And if I lay it, that's it there. It's an old pillow slip. So I want to bring in another rosy florally trim. So I'll just cut off that there. This will help blend those pieces of embroidery a little bit too. Like my favourite corner is this over here. I love all of that, but it's a little bit probably old girl. Not that I'm an old girl, but I'm an old girl at heart. So I've got to remember that Edie is 9. So we've got to have a pop of crazy colour. And it does work if you sort of drift like these sorts of tones through the whole thing, and then a little bit of this old girl through, and then pop in some artwork. It sort of just works. I don't know if you think so, but I think it does. There's a stripe that connects to this fabric. This was on the inside of that pillow slip. So I'm going to put in some stripe because that's like a really good way of, that should rip, a really good way of tying it together. Okay. Hang of a mess. Don't you love it? See that to me will work. All right, so maybe we do a piece of stripe through there. Like that. We might put a piece of stripe through there. That'll tie that together. We might put a bit of stripe somewhere else too. Probably there, just to break that up a little bit. Now we have a gap in under here, so I might go looking for this fabric in the top corner and see if we can pull it over to here. That will tie that side across. Yeah, here's some. Excuse me, guys. Yeah, here's a bit of that. Oops, that's crooked. That's a bit doggy, chewed looking. Right there. Maybe it comes up a bit. Need something there. Maybe I get a piece of that. I can move that across. Maybe I've got to tuck that under, and it's that pink that's annoying me, and I just want to see the little spot popping out. That's better. Let's just have that little spot popping through there. That onto there. Something is not quite right there. Maybe I'll lift that up. Maybe I don't need that piece there. I need it more in there. All right, I like it up there. It sort of brings the colour across, that colour. I will be adding lace, so I guess I'm probably overthinking it a little bit, because I will be able to use lace in corners like that, just to put a little textile hint. So I might put gosh, you could fiddle with this for hours, guys. What could we bring into there? Maybe I'll grab my lace next. Where's my container of lace? My scraps. There'd have to be something in here we can stitch it down. Let's just stay with straight line pieces. What have we got? Oh, we got some doilies too. That help. Yeah, that'll help. Another doily. I still haven't got the lace I was looking for. There's another one. Put that up there. Oh yeah. This may not be your cup of tea, but I'm certainly digging it. What else is in this? Let's have a look at this lace, because I think we need just some pieces coming through, just some random sort of stuff. Like so. Like on the side of there. Like it there. Where else can we put some lace? I sort of feel like I should do something up here. It could always be taken back a bit in length, but I will, I'll cut it there. And I'll just have it shooting up. Now this is the flap. So we'll run a lace along that edge of some description as well, which then will appear as it comes back over the cover. So we'll definitely do that. Might put a bit of, maybe a doily up there, because that will be coming back across. Not a doily, one of these. That will be seen then, yep. Still got a gap here. So what have we got? Any snippets in here that we could get rid of? Here's a little piece of something. All right, that's now got a home. Tuck it under there so it just pops out. Okay. That's a very good start. It's collagey, we've got a bit of text in there. Sort of feel like we need something here. Maybe some music fabric. Hold that thought. Grab my music fabric. So, too moody, too washed out. I think it's this one. Sorry guys, got something stuck in my throat. Now I'm just going to cut a piece off of this. I've decided to take quite a strip. That way it'll appear later in the journal too, and it's cut ready to go. So let's have a look at this. I like when there's like words and bits and pieces of text in a piece. Just sort of breaks things up a little bit, makes it interesting. Once I start sort of stitching, things can fiddle around a bit. Nothing's set in stone. And pieces evolve when you think that you've sort of hit a wall and there's nothing inspiring you. Suddenly something pops up and sort of fixes something that looked a bit flat. Just going to cut another little piece of this off, and maybe we can pop it somewhere. Just a little peekaboo piece out of there. Look, I think that's a good start for our journal cover. I've got a mess everywhere, but that's okay. So what I want to do now is just get it tacked down with some pins. Then I'll start stitching. Got a couple ways we can do it. We could go around each piece individually. We could running stitch over the whole thing. You could do that on your sewing machine, and just everything is anchored down then and just becomes part of this one piece of fabric. I'm sort of thinking along those lines, but I don't know. Let's just get everything pinned at least. We might do a tacking stitch, I think, because there's a lot of little elements here that are going to wriggle around. So I might just grab my needle and thread and we'll start tacking it all down with a little invisible stitch. Give myself a moment to sort of think about the end stitching, whether it be something. Got a gap here, don't we? Can that pink fabric come across? Yes. That can sneak into there. And that come up there a little bit. And that come down a little bit. Got a gap here still, not quite covered, but we'll see how we go. It's not too bad. Maybe once the fabric sort of find their end position, little spots like that. And look, at the end of the day, I can put a snippet of something there. I'm running out of pins. Okay. Sort of feel like this isn't right here. I'm running out of pins. But that's fine. Yeah, it's not quite right over this side. That's a bit better. I like that. So I need to do a little bit more work over here. Don't know what it is. Just doesn't feel like it's overlapping enough yet. Only got 2 pins left. No, I have pins. I forgot. No, I don't have pins. Goodness me. Got so many projects on the go that are gobbling up all my pins. That's a tiny pin. I don't know where I got that from, but he will help. If I can bring that up a little bit, that would be good because I'm a little bit short there. That's better. That's better. If I pin that there, it would be a good start. Oh, forget it. It's blunt. Silly little pin. Don't know where you've come from. All right, so what I'm going to grab now is just a needle and thread, and I might actually do it in a crazy colour, because the crazy colours we never use, so I might as well use them instead of wasting my standard cottons, my creams. So I've got a box of colours here from my grandmother's dressmaking days. Let's use that purple. Can't see that. These are all bridesmaids cottons. So you can see, look at the pinks. How many bridesmaids wore pink? Heaps of them. So there would have been a bridesmaid that wore this colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a tacking stitch just to hold it all down. And then while we do this, we're going to have a think about the stitching that we're going to do on top, the embellishing. I'm going to have to move all that out of the way. That's it. I'm going to spin it around. Need my pin cushion. And we're just going to knot it. Yep. Now this is just to hold it so that I can take it to my lap in the couch and not get jabbed by a heap of pins. So there's a little stitch on top, big stitch underneath, tacking it down. I don't always do this. Sometimes I just go straight to the decorative stitching, but I don't have a lot of pins at the moment because they're all in things. So I will tack it. And I want to have a fiddle with it too, that I make sure that nice pieces are seen where things fold and flop around, you know, the flap. And it's hard to do it when it's all in bits. So this at least will create a more easily handled piece. Okay, I've got some fabric postage stamps too. Oh, there's heaps more that can go on this. This can become quite a collection of bits and pieces. So I'm just going to do an end stitch, snip that, grab another piece. Oops. So if you find this boring, feel free to mosey on to the next video, because I'm just going to get this all tacked down. We're halfway into the hour, so I'd say by the time I get to the end of this hour, it'll be 99% tacked down, which will be great. So I'm just going to jump now about an inch forward and do the same thing again. Tack it down. I've spoken to Edie's mum, and I've said to her that there's this journal coming, and I said to her I'll give the journal to her, and if she wants to add it to Santa's parcels, she could. I would have loved to have something like this when I was a kid. You know, when you had assignments as a kid, the first thing I would ask the teacher is, can I present my assignment or my report as a chart? Yes, you can do that. Oh, I was so excited. And as soon as I got home, it'd be go and grab a piece of chart paper and start placing out my assignment, or it'd be, Mum, I need to go to the news agency in town. I grew up in a country town, to get chart paper because I have an assignment. Such excitement. So if I had journals and all of that sort of thing around when I was a kid, oh, I would have been really into journaling. just was never on my radar. I used to make a lot of toys, and my mum and I would sew clothes. Like, I was forever doing things, but not this, like embroidery like that I was doing. So now second row, and I'll jump forward with another pin, jump forward another inch, and I'm just scooting down another row. Hold everything nicely. It's nice to have some stitching to do. Can never have enough stitching, I say. Another pin. Okay, it's quite quick. That's good, because then I can really fiddle with it and make sure it's going to look correct. And if it's not, you can just easily unpick a little area of tacking stitch, muck around with the fabrics a little bit, and then away you go again. Okay, that'll hold that lace nicely. All right, another piece of bright purple cotton. Gosh, imagine bridesmaids in that. Ooh-wee. Very bright. I actually went to a friend's wedding last night, which was just beautiful. Haven't been to a wedding for a little while now. Most of our mates are all married, and we're sort of waiting for kids now to announce weddings. So to have a wedding pop up on the radar was a bit special. And it was so nice. We went to the hinterland of the Gold Coast. The venue, I think it was called Cow Pasture. Beautiful, beautiful rolling hills, windy road to get in there. Felt like we dropped into another planet, because the hills were just cascading around this venue. They had cows munching nearby, and they were those really hairy ones with big horns, so that I think they're Himalayan cattle, very not Australian cattle, but they had babies, so there were little potties there munching on hay, and all the guests, while the photos were being done, you could walk down to this paddock and take photos. And then they had random activities around, like Jenga, except the blocks to do Jenga. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's a game where there's lots of blocks all in a tower, and you've got to pull one out, pop it on the top, pull another one out, pop it on the top, taking turns. And of course the game is not to knock all the blocks over. You don't want to be the one who removes a block and the whole lot falls. So that was there, except they were huge blocks, so that was a lot of fun to watch that. And then another game, I just can't recall the name of it, but you threw a ball out, and not a ball, it was a round lump of marble, and then everyone got about 4 additional balls. The first ball's only about so big, the rest were about that big, and you threw them, and the closest to the first little guy won the game. There's a name for it, and it eludes me at the moment. So there was one young lad there. He was only probably about 10, and he was part of the bridal party. I think he was a nephew. And then there were no other kids. So I sort of was watching this little fella, and he had his iPad, and he was sort of just milling around. He'd done his duties. He carried the rings in, and I thought, oh boy, he doesn't even have anyone to chat to bar his mum and dad and adults. So he was sitting over where these ball things were. So the group that I was with, we said, come on, let's go. So we went over and said hello to him. His name was Joshua. So we said, come on, Joshua, let's play. And we had a game with him. Oh, we had numerous games, and he was pretty good. He whooped us. So it was a lot of fun. Then it came time for the reception, and they opened up this barn-like structure to reveal where all the tables were, and just beautiful. Candelabras hanging in the ceiling and fairy lights, and you can imagine. Just gorgeous. So it was a lovely night. The chairs were uncomfortable, mind you. They were those cane, stackable, foldable, triangular-looking fancy chairs, but by the end of the night, they were very uncomfortable. But the food, oh my goodness. I'm going to say best wedding yet for food. They started off with a huge cheese platter with fruit and cheeses and biscuits and meats. That was outside in the patio area where we were all hanging out looking at cows and rolling hills and horses and playing these games, because it was probably about 3 hours that we were out there in this outdoor patio area before they opened up the barn to let us all in for seating for the main event, the reception. So they had this big slab of timber out there that just suddenly this cheese platter, grazing platter appeared, and it was spectacular, guys. Just spectacular. I actually took a photo. Hang on. Let's show you. See, I'm a foodie. Let's show you. My phone's about to go dead, so I can't get off on a tangent too much here. Okay. Like that's the cows. How good that's the baby. How good are they? And the cheese platter. Look at that. Look at that. So you can imagine. Look, there was Oreos. Look, Corrine grabbed one of those little boats. She did a full circle. Then she ate what was in the boat. She went back again and again. We won't say any more after that, but she went again. But there was like raspberries. Look at the raspberries. Olives, grapes. It was so beautiful. And there's the prosciutto. How gorgeous. So that was to keep us all busy while we waited for the wedding party to have all their photos. So that was good. Then in we went, and we had 2 entrees. You know how they alternate them? One was bruschetta and the other was salt and pepper calamari. So my husband and I just shared that, and it was so yummy. But a small portion. So we thought, I wonder what the main's going to be like. The mains came out. Typical chicken and beef. The chicken had a stuffing on top of it, and then it was like encrusted with another seasoning that sort of held the stuffing in place. I don't know how they did that. And it was huge. It was the whole leg with the little bone, and then sitting on potatoes, broccolini, carrots, and then this nice jus over the top, gravy. And then the beef was 2 huge opulent slices of this tender, beautiful beef. And then the theme for the beef was mushrooms. So there was, as I pulled, the pieces of beef were like that big, 2 of them by about 1/2 inch. And as I pulled them back to reveal a mash that had truffles through it, and then in between the beef and the mash was these sautéed mushrooms, and it was so nice. And the helping was, I've lost my needle. Here it is. The helping was really generous, really generous. And I could see all the men in the room were like really relieved. You could just see them going, oh, good, I'm so hungry. Especially guys that aren't real interested in cheese platters. They're sort of looking more for a meal. So that was really nice to see, a nice generous main meal. Dessert was the wedding cake, which I'm still not sure what we ate, but it was beautiful. It wasn't a mud cake, but it wasn't a sponge. It was vanilla in colour, but as I dug through this slab of yumminess, there was caramel, there was white chocolate, probably smeared around the cake, and then a icing put on top of that. And the icing, it wasn't mock icing, but it could have been, but it had this unusual berry flavour, but it was white. I don't know. There was such a mishmash of yumminess in there. I really don't know where I was. And then my cake looks slightly different to my husband's. So I'm wondering if the top layer and the bottom layer were two different cakes. And then over the whole thing was a berry coulis and then a little bit of fresh cream. It was divine. One of my mates, he was up at the bridal table chatting to the groom. We were there for the groom, and the cake was sitting at his station, which was sort of the next table along. And everyone had finished their cake, but his cake was still there. So I'm like eyeing it off, thinking, oh, he won't want to eat that. He's not into sweets. Hoping that, you know, I'd get another piece of cake. But nope, he'd come back, ate his cake in front of me, like he turned around and looked at me as he ate it. Couldn't believe it, how rude. But it was so yummy. Everyone ate the cake. I must ask them what was in that cake, because it was a bit special. But then we thought, well, that's sort of it. I guess the last speeches happened, and then the music started, and they did the bridal waltz and all of the traditional things that come with that. They played this game too. That was hilarious. They picked 6 people out of the crowd, sat them on chairs, and then the MC, who I believe came with the venue, he was really good. He said a bit of light entertainment, and he gave them one item they had to find in the room. So they had to race like crazy out into the group of people sitting and watching at our tables and get an item. Like the first thing was a driver's license. So these 6 guests were running like silly through the crowd trying to get a driver's license. The next thing was one man's shoe. So out they come again to get a shoe from someone. Then there was a lipstick. The last item was hilarious. It was a lady's bra. And by then there was only 2 contestants left, 2 girls. So they went to their table where they were all girls. I think they were like uni friends to someone in the bridal party. So it was hilarious because they're all trying to get their bras. It was just silly. And the girl that got one first, I know if you're familiar, ladies, if you can't wear a bra due to not having straps, you can use, they're like chicken fillets, where they just sort of sit within your bodice to give you something, but you don't have the straps. So this one girl, she had these chicken fillets, is what I call them anyway. And she just reached in, grabbed them and flipped them out into the air. So that was the bra. So the lady who was on the treasure hunt, she's running back across to the dance floor, flipping these chicken fillet-looking things in the air. It was so funny. I could see men in the room just going, what's that? That's not a bra. It was hilarious. So anyway, the last one back each time, of course, got eliminated. So it came down to this young lady that won with the chicken fillets, because the other girls on the table were probably wearing more traditional bras. So they're trying to get a bra off for the second girl, but it just took too long, where these chicken fillets just appeared flapping around in the air. It was hilarious just to see the men's faces. Like, what's that? They were black, like rubbery silicone things that you can just slide down a little dress, and give you some form of modesty without, you know, a proper bra. I'm sure you know what I mean, girls. But the men in the room were like, what? That's disappointing. That's not a bra. It was so funny. So it was great. We had a bit of light entertainment, the MC, so which makes a change, doesn't it? I've never seen that at a wedding, but mind you, I don't go to a lot of weddings, so things have probably modernised a little. So that was hilarious. And then, would you believe, they started serving tea or coffee. Like, the bar was still open, but tea and coffee started sort of coming out to tables with people. And they did another, it wasn't a cheese thing this time. It was little desserts. Unbelievable. So this big table, again, was dressed with all of these little desserts. Oh, girls, you should have seen me. I was like, oh my goodness, how lush. And there was like rumbles, there were little muffins, cupcakes, there was all these unusual desserts that I've never seen. There was macaroons, there was fruit. So everyone would get their coffee and their tea, and they'd go across to this grazing platter again and pick up another sweet treat. So, yeah, as you can imagine, by the end of the night, I think it finished about 10 o'clock, and we left about 20 to 10 because the dancing was on and, you know, everything was sort of starting to wrap up. But by the time I got out to the car to drive back to Brisbane, I was just buzzing. I'd eaten so much, I had bellyache. I'd finished the evening with a lot of sweets, so I had like this energy coming through me. And then probably about 20 minutes into the trip home, I crashed. I went from a sugar high and crashed. And I could feel myself going, I felt so contented and full and a bit of a bellyache, and I fell asleep. My poor husband had to drive by himself, no support from me. And then I woke up with a sore neck because I'd obviously just hung my head in shame to digest. And next minute we're at the exit to come into our area of Brisbane, and I was like, oh, where did that hour go? So I felt really, you know, relaxed and chilled, and I thought, oh, if I can stay in this mood, I'll be able to slide straight into bed and, you know, have a nap. But of course, I had to feed animals, and Pepper and Bandit weren't in bed yet, so I had to go outside and feed them and feed the cats and get everyone tucked into bed, and that I was awake. So I ended up sitting down in front of the TV about 11 o'clock. And I thought, oh gosh, now the sugar will be coming back through me and I'll be all energized. But no, I lasted about 15 minutes and I could feel myself slipping back down into relax mode. So I said to my husband, I'm going to go to bed and take advantage of this nice relaxed feeling I'm having. And I was out like a light. So it was such a good night. And then probably about 3 a.m. I woke up and I could feel all that sugar and energy going through me, and I was fidgeting around in bed, and I'm like, oh no, here we go. I'm going to be up, going to be in my craft room. And I had such bellyache because I had eaten so much. It was ridiculous. But I must have gone back to sleep. I must have drifted back off. So I ended up having a really good night's sleep in the end. But it was touch and go about 3 a.m. as I was starting to get a little bit of energy coming through the system. So the food at this venue that they selected, apparently they had quite a few selections they could do, and they were all different catering companies that come into the venue from the Gold Coast. So they said it was pretty easy just to sort of say, this looks good, let's go with it. And they didn't have to sort of think about too much of the menu. It was just all laid on. So really simple and beautiful. So I don't know if any of you are Brisbane Gold Coast people that are watching my video and you've been to that venue in the hills. I'd love to know if you had a similar experience, because mine was fantastic. I hope I get to go to another wedding there. It was a little bit nice. It's got a bit extra cotton, so I'm just scooting along this bottom edge a little bit. Can't hurt. Nearly done. 5 minutes to go, so I'll come pretty close to getting this secure. And then in the next video, video 3, we can make a decision on how we're stitching this down. If it's going to be a patchwork or I just running stitch the entire thing. If I do that, I might go down the lines of drawing my lines just to make sure that they're reasonably straight. Not that it really matters, but I think I'll feel better knowing that I've caught all of the edges. Or is that a bit boring? Should I embroider around each patch with a mixture of different things and threads and colours? And yeah, I sort of think I should. Got to remember, this is for a 9-year-old. It's not for me. I'd be probably a little bit more matchy-matchy. So maybe I should get my embroidery cottons out and go for it. Keeping it a little bit more eclectic. Does that make sense? I have to have a think about it. How are we going for time? I got 3 minutes. Come close. Might just do one more. If I go any longer, it just takes forever for the video to upload. It's really odd. Some days it takes an hour. Some days it takes 7 hours. It's just shocking. This will be enough at least stitched down to hold all of the elements from slipping around on me. I guess another thing I need to have a think about, do I want to put a piece of Pellin underneath this work so I get even more of a soft cover, like just a really thin, sort of tempted to. Another thing to think about. Nearly there. Just, oops, now it's unthreaded. Doesn't matter if the video goes a few minutes over. I think we've got it mostly secure. I'm just going to head to that outer edge through here with a couple good big stitches. Everything else will hold. Lovely. Might just come up that edge. Hang in there, guys, we're nearly there. I really want to fold it to see if we're on the right track on how it might look as an actual journal cover. Okay, so we've got rid of all the pins. Everything's tacked down. Okay, lovely. Nothing falling. Probably do with a little bit more stitching there. All right, there's a pin. Get rid of him before he bites me. I think that's all of them. Okay, so let's fold that in. So there's our front cover, and that is our edge coming over, which, like I said, we will trim with something a bit special, and that is the back. Oh, I love it. That's going to be great. I'm liking how everything's got its own space there. So that all works. Yeah, that's going to work. Really, really good. And with some lace down that side. Beautiful. All right, everyone, I'm going to leave it at that. And in the next video, we'll work on how we're going to, stitch this all down. And maybe it's just a mishmash of everything. Like, at the end of the day, it's all about giving Edie lots of things to look at. So maybe I need to not be so controlled with it, because, running stitch right through the whole thing would be just gorgeous. Sort of what I mean by that, if my needle book is handy, yeah, here it is. My needle book is running stitch through the whole thing. See how it's so simple, effective, but probably not too exciting for a 9-year-old. Anyway, I'll have a think about it. Thanks everyone for joining me, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.